The iPhone 15 is the iPhone to buy this year. It has the most upgrades from the iPhone 14 and it is still $799. But how does it compare to the Samsung Galaxy S23? Now, if there's one thing I do today is to give you guys a clear recommendation on which of these phones to get. My name is KJOS and this is where I break down tech into simple terms. Let's start things off with the S23. Just like the Ultra, the S23 has the same floating camera design, and this gives all three devices a more uniform look. However, I don't know if it's just me, but I still prefer the design from the S22. Now, even though this is somewhat boring now, the physical aspects of the S23 is still top tier and what appeals to me the most. It is 6.1 inches tall with Gorilla Glass Victus 2 at the front and on the back, which makes it hard to break or have any significant scratches. Even though these phones are tough as hell, you should always get a case just in case anything happens. Now, the back of the phone is where the build quality shines the most. It has a smooth matte finish in lavender that complements the aluminum rails all around the phone. The right side holds the power button and the volume buttons, and with the shape and height difference between these keys, you can distinguish both in the dark with ease. At the bottom, you have a USB-C port that is pretty much standard at the moment, and of course, stereo speakers that I feel are just okay and nothing groundbreaking. The iPhone 15 comes in two sizes, 6.1 and 6.7 inches. I usually opt for a smaller version because they are much more comfortable and reduce hand fatigue. And speaking of comfortable, the iPhone 15's form factor now has a more contoured edge for easier grip, and it comes in 5 colors: pink, green, yellow, blue, and black, with pink being its best color in my opinion. The back of the phone has a smooth matte finish that is made of glass, while the display will be protected or is protected by the ceramic shield. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately depending on who you're talking to, the iPhone 15 will still have that mute switch and not the action button on the Pro models. Again, some people want that mute switch while others really want that action button. Also, the iPhone 15 maintains its IP rating of IP68 water and dust resistance, and that is not a surprise, and I did not expect anything less. What has changed between the 14 to the 15 is removing the lightning cable and adding USB-C. Not everyone in the world has moved to USB-C. For example, I had trouble charging my phone when I was at a bar last week because everyone still had a lightning cable. It'll take a while before everyone eventually switches over. That being said, USB-C is great. You can charge all your devices with one cable, and there is no need to carry the extra stuff when traveling. Now, even though both phones are identical in height and build, the S23 is lighter with 168 grams, while the iPhone 15 is 1 gram lighter with 171 grams. Now, with a matte finish, the vertical camera bar, and how lightweight the phone can get, the S23 will win this round with a better design. Moving on to the display, the S23 is a 1080p AMOLED 2X with a very smooth 120Hz refresh rate. All sides are symmetrical with a single hole punch camera in the center that utilizes a screen real estate. The 1080p might disappoint some, but when compared to other high-end phones, you won't see much of a difference. And for that retail price, I think Samsung did very well with this display. The brightness of the S23 is still good. It maxes out at 1750 nits, which is a lot brighter than a lot of flagships in this price range. Now, I have had no issues when navigating my phone outside, but if by any chance you can't navigate your phone, which I doubt, the S23 also has a vision booster to help enhance your experience, but majority of the time, you might not need it to get that bright. On the iPhone 15, this is where there is a significant upgrade. First things first, the iPhone 15 has the dynamic island that was on the 14 Pro, moving away completely from the notch, and I think this is a good direction. Apart from making all their new phones have the same uniform design, it gives the consumers a bigger incentive if they do not want to spend money on the Pro models. Very nice. Secondly, the iPhone 15 is brighter than the Galaxy S23 with its 2000 nits of max brightness. The iPhone 14 under direct sunlight wasn't the most visible, so this answers a major pain point for consumers. However, if you wanted a higher refresh rate on this, I'm sorry to tell you, but the iPhone 15 still has a 60Hz display. Yeah, they're still doing that. Honestly, it is disappointing, but not at all surprising. Now, even with the dynamic island and the higher brightness, the Galaxy S23 has a better display. That 120Hz just makes a lot of difference amongst other things. Now before we continue, just a quick note to say that I have started a Patreon. It is only $3 a month, so if you've enjoyed my content, please consider subscribing, as this will go a long way in helping me release more videos consistently. Thank you for considering. Okay, let's talk about the battery life. The Galaxy S23's battery capacity did improve this year. It is a 3900 mAh of battery from last year, which was 3700. When I first reviewed this phone, I said the battery was not S22 bad and it wasn't great either, but that is not the case after a few months. The adaptive battery has set in and learned all my habits. I leave my house and not have any battery anxiety whatsoever. Battery optimization also improved with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip, but more on the software after this. While on the iPhone 15, Apple wasn't lying when they said the iPhone is their longest battery life ever. It is 3,349 mAh, and I think I can call this a 2-day battery phone. Now, if you just call or text, it could even last longer. Now, I'm not stupid. Many things enhance the battery life, like a high refresh rate or the lack of an always-on display, but these trade-offs are, well, trade-offs if you want or care about a long-standing battery. So with a better battery, the iPhone 15 will take this round. The software experience with the iPhone 15 and the Galaxy S23 are very different. One UI is great. It still isn't my favorite skin on Android, but it has made improvements over the last couple of years, and it has grown on me if I'm honest. Performance has been great since its release. It does have its occasional lags here and there, but for most of the time, if you play games, you will be satisfied. One of the best things about One UI is its ability to be very customizable. I have a lock screen widget to see if I have any schedules or alarms, and you can design it to what you prefer. If you're also into applying themes and not installing third-party launchers like Nova Launcher, Samsung has different themes that you can choose from, especially when changing icons if the stock icons are not really your taste. Me, myself, I'm a simple person. When it comes to my home screen, I just prefer a colorful wallpaper with 3 to 4 essential icons on the front, and then I color code my apps for easier access. On the iPhone 15, Apple decided to give it last year's chip, the A16 Bionic. Yeah, they're still doing that. It could be chip shortages or they're just trying to keep the price down. I'll never really know, but a new phone should always have the new specs. And because Apple and their great marketing for the second year running, everyone just kind of glossed over it and moved on like nothing happened. Nevertheless, the performance on the 15 is still pretty good with iOS 17, and its ability to customize a lock screen with different styles and widgets is pretty decent and clean. This is Android versus iOS, and picking a winner is very hard because I have a few things I love the iPhone 4, like AirDrop or the overall ecosystem, but there are other things I like on the S23, like customizations that the iPhone just cannot do. So I'm gonna give this a tie. And finally, the most important category on this list, the cameras. The cameras on both these phones differ a lot. The S23 has the same camera specs as last year, which means we're arguably going to be getting the same quality of pictures, which isn't a bad thing. It is a 50 megapixel wide-angle lens, a 10 megapixel telephoto lens with a 30x zoom, and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens. The iPhone 15 has a dual camera setup, a 48 megapixel upgrade to its wide-angle lens, and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens, so it's lacking a dedicated telephoto lens. Now while in front, it has a single 12 megapixel selfie camera. During the day, pictures from both these phones come out really well. It is great in terms of color and vibrancy, but I noticed the S23 pictures are a bit saturated, and some may like it, but it just boils down to preference. But for me, it looks a lot more artificial than natural. The ultra-wide on both the iPhone 15 and the Galaxy S23 are great, but there is much more detail and color balance on the iPhone 15, making it better for pictures. Where the S23 shines is its telephoto lens and that 30x zoom, compared to the iPhone 15, which doesn't have a dedicated telephoto lens. A silver lining though, the iPhone 15 shoots better video than the S23 by a long mile. These are just a few shots that I have, so you guys be the judge and let me know down in the comments. With all that being said, this is no BS, the S23 is my recommendation to you guys. Now while the iPhone 15 is great, it is essentially the iPhone 14 Pro, which is a better phone and will cost you guys less money. Thank you guys for watching. If you found any value in this video, make sure you like this video and consider subscribing to the channel. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is having a lot of issues with this battery and heat management. I talk about it right here, comparing it to the Galaxy S23 Ultra. My name is KJLS, and I hope to see you there.